Thank you all. You are now watching Drew Boy Sports Show. I'm your host, King Ralph, here with the homie and my co-host, the homie Kai.
What's happening? Hey. What's good, Ralph?
Not much, man. It's chilling on this eventful Tuesday.
I feel you, man. I feel you, bro. It's
you're not a father, but Sunday was Juneteenth. How was your Juneteenth?
My Juneteenth was really good. I got a chance to spend it with my my father. So it was Juneteenth plus Father's Day, you know. So shout out to all the fathers out there, because I feel like that's the one side of the family that sometimes gets overlooked. You know, we talk about the mothers, but we got to give the fathers some love. We out here working just as hard, you know. Go ahead.
Go ahead. It's crazy, bro, because like I remember like the other day, what was it? Last week, my dad came over and we're sitting there watching the game, and then a commercial comes on. It's talking about Father's Day, and then I'm sitting there watching the commercial, and then not now that I'm a father, because I've been a father for like going on 3 years now, but like it made me realize something, and then 50 Cent brought it up in like a post. I posted it on Father's Day, and I said, do not ever in your life buy me no power tools for Father's Day. Like, with women on Mother's Day, they get diamonds and necklaces and Pandora bracelets and all types of gifts. And then when it comes to Father's Day, we get socks, like power tools, stuff from the dollar store. And it's just like, come on, bro. Like at the end of the day, like fathers are just as important, if not like a little bit more important. Because what do they say whenever they start talking about the Black community? They start talking about how there's no fathers.
Yeah.
Households, and that's the issue with what's going on with us. Not to go too political into where we're going in social issues and things like that, because it's just a sports show. But at the end of the day, it was just like, come on, bro. Treat the fathers right. Go get us a real gift, something we actually want.
Right, you are appreciated.
Nice dinner. Take me to a nice dinner. Take me somewhere I actually want to be at. But like, so me, I got to spend my Father's Day. We went to to Cowabunga Bay. We went to the water park.
Oh, nice.
My daughter's mother actually got me a season pass for Cowabunga Bay.
Ooh, VIP.
I'm finna be in there. I'm finna be golden and brown, bro. I'm finna give you a nice little tan.
Hey, the best complexion, man.
Exactly. But before we get going, man, let's send a shout out to the sponsor. We haven't been in the studio in a minute, but shout out to Fitboxer. You want to do any music videos, podcasts like what you're watching, photo shoots, call the number on the bottom of the screen, 707 Fitboxer. Hey, I did a pretty good job on that one. Getting pretty good.
Yeah, that was smooth. That transition, bro. That was smooth like D Will from the Jazz, man, back in the day.
Hey, his cross with the pull up. Yeah.
Woo, butter.
And he had the finger wave. Not just playing. He had no finger wave, but
had that taper fade. He had that taper fade.
And then but Sue Bird, the legendary Sue Bird with the WNBA and the Seattle Storm, she has announced that she will be retiring after this season. If you've been paying attention to the WNBA like I have since they were, I want to say the first season was 95, 96. Along with the Cynthia Coopers, the Tina Thompsons, the Cheryl Swoops, to now Diana Taurasi. Sue Bird was a college teammate of Diana Taurasi. She's one of the more recognizable faces of the WNBA. So it leads me to ask, of all these people that I've named, I haven't even mentioned everybody. I didn't even get to Lisa Leslie, to Rebecca Lobo, to Witherspoon. Where does she rank in your mind as far as the WNBA greats?
To me, she's one of the 5 greatest. And to me, I believe she's one of the 5 greatest. Because when I look at greatness, right? Greatness transcends eras. Greatness is how well you affect your your teammates, your impact on the game, how you perform in clutch moments. And Sue Bird, she epitomizes that. Furthermore, she kind of ended her career on a great note in terms of how she went out, right? You know, being able to be effective and having played 20 years in the WNBA is phenomenal. I mean, look at just like the NBA, you have players who play 20 years. If you can get there, like the Kareems of the world. And so we should showcase that type of longevity that Sue Bird had,
Yes.
you know, in the WNBA with the same respect. And I mean, she won a championship in multiple decades. Okay. So you won a championship in 2004, in the 2000s, right? You win a championship in 2010, you win one in 2020. So, I mean, you've won a championship in essentially 3 different decades. So that means that you were an integral piece to a championship team. She could shoot lights out. She could shoot the 3, just like Diana Taurasi, who is known as the scoring threat that she is. So I feel like she had an all-around game. You couldn't really say that there was any weakness in her game. You know, you look at what she's been able to do for the country from a USA basketball level. So I feel like when you look at every single level, Ralph, Sue Bird has really excelled. You know, from the collegiate level to the NBA level. She's led the league in assists multiple times. So she just has an overall impact of on the game. She's inspired a lot of people who are coming into the league, a la Paige Buchers, right? And we know what Paige Buchers is, and she's very mature. When as a freshman, she was very mature. You know what I'm saying? Even Taurasi was like, yeah, Paige Buchers is like, you know, more mature than I was at her age. But she looks up to the Taurasi, she looks up to the Sue Birds of the world. So I just think that her ability to, you know, perform at a high level for such a long period of time, have an impact on USA basketball, on the WNBA, and even, you know, she gets her respect from fellow players in the NBA, such as the late great Kobe Bean Bryant. So Sue Bird, definitely want to give her flowers. And for me personally, she's one of the five greatest who've played in the WNBA.
I definitely agree, man. Like, it's for me, it's one of the, I don't know, man. She's, I don't know. I don't know if I agree with the top 5.
It's a tough spot to crack, but
it is, man. It's
era for me. Era from what I see, because exactly. I didn't get a chance to, you know what I'm saying? So
if you're gonna go and go with,
I'm biased.
I feel you. Like, for me, I'm a little biased because, like, I loved me some Maya Moore.
But so, it was like, short. Her career was shorter, though. Man.
Short. And like Cynthia Cooper, you know, I talk about Coop.
Mm-hmm.
Coop wasn't American, but she played Euro ball and then brought that Euro style over to the league, bro. And they dominated too. And she was the best player on that team for like 3-4 seasons. And so they ran off 3-4 straight. So like, then you got Diana Taurasi now. Now at that point, I've already named 3 people.
Yeah.
Then you got the Lisa Leslies of the world, and then the Teresa Witherspoons of the world, like the Stephens of the world. So it's like when you start, I don't know about, it's kind of hard. But then when you think about her longevity,
20 years, bro, 20 years,
and she just won a title last year.
Exactly, and she beat a super team.
Exactly.
Yeah, she beat a super team, so bro. Like, I'm like, what?
On top of that, you start thinking about when she came into the league, she was like a complimentary piece. I forget the big that they had at the time. I don't remember her name, but that was when they were the 1-2 piece that won that title. Then
Lauren Jackson, right?
I think so. Yeah,
I think it was Lauren Jackson who played for the Seattle Storm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And so when she retires, now Sue Bird is that main piece.
Yeah.
And then Breonna Stewart came into the league, and shout out to her, not to take away from the light from Sue Bird, but when she tore her Achilles, she was the first athlete that you can really say tore their Achilles and came back better. And this is prior to KD tearing his Achilles too.
Yeah, KD reached out to her too about it. My bad.
So, like, to go from coming in as a rookie, being able to immediately contribute, being and playing a complimentary role to a star that was already there, then becoming the star yourself, and then realizing I got this stuff that's coming in, and she finna do work, so I'm gonna take a back seat to her and just purely be what a pure point guard should be. I think a lot of the times people start getting this idea with the way that basketball is played today, a lot of our guards are not true point guards. Like I think Lonzo gets a bad rep because he's what a point guard was traditionally supposed to be. You're going to play good defense and set up the offense for the team to be ran. But you get ideas of the Kyries, the Steph Currys, the Dame Lillards, the Derrick Roses of the world. Well, Derrick Rose is a little bit different because when he played on teams like the USA team where he played as a traditional point guard, he was an athletic freak and set the off. But if I need a bucket, I can go get to my spot. Mm-hmm. And so I think that Sue Bird is one of those players that male or female, you can study as what a point guard should have been and a consummate professional and winner at every level. And so I just want to spend this time and give this segment to Sue Bird because she definitely deserves those flowers. As we always say, we got to give flowers to the people that were here and while they were here to celebrate them. Heck of a career, 20 years. It's crazy to think, like, I'm 32. I remember watching her and Diana Taurasi on the UConn teams. Middle school.
Middle school. They had Ben Gordon and Emeka Okafor on the other one. They won back. Both the teams won. I think it was 04 or the 02. It was 04.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy how that was.
Because they played the Georgia Tech, I think. One of the teams played Georgia Tech. I'll never forget that. It was like middle school. Yeah.
And so, but another one we're talking about as far as top 10. Steph finally gets MVP.
Yeah.
And I've been arguing with people and debating with folks on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter for the past week. I think we're being a little bit too much of a prisoner of the moment. Mm-hmm. But in your personal opinion, is Steph top 10?
Okay, so I'm glad you said in your personal opinion. I want to piggyback on something that you said about arguing, debating, conversating with people. And this is a real discussion people are having, right? Because everyone's top 10. I think he can be top 10 based off whatever your criteria is. I'm not really mad at that. I'm not really mad at that because I get the impact he has in the game. My issue is I feel, and I'll get to like kind of where I have him ranked. I feel like what we talked about was before the show, people have gone to the extreme, meaning you have the people who I actually believe do underrate Steph Curry, like period, they underrate him. And then you have the people who, I don't want to use the word overrate, but I feel like recency bias is a hell of a drug. Hence why we're having a conversation right after he won the championship. Like, why are we having I kind of don't want to have this conversation after the championship. Like, I don't mind talking about it, but I feel like ESPN and these networks is premature because they don't give him or other people time to breathe. Like, okay, let's evaluate it. Because I could say something right now that I come back and disagree with my own position 2 weeks from now. You feel me? A month from now, right? Because that's how sometimes people use with top 10. I didn't see Wilt play. I really didn't see Wilt play. I believe, and I've been on record saying that Wilt and Bill Russell are two people who personally I don't hold in high regard. People who played in the era with 8 teams, when you play one round and you're in the NBA Finals, when you can camp out in the paint and there's no defensive 3 seconds, making it easier to accumulate rebounds and stats and playing with multiple Hall of Famers. And so when we look at how they changed all the rules to make the game harder for Wilt, and they did the same thing with Shaq, I've been on record from saying that Steph Curry's gravity, and Shaq actually finally backed me up. He said that his gravity from the perimeter is the same as Shaq's gravity from the inside. And so you have people who are using Steph as the prototype. I believe guys like Gilbert Arenas, guys like Mahmoud Rauf were shooting threes before Steph. I just really do. However, I do believe that he is an analytic darling.
Yeah. And
so because he's an analytic darling, and that's for the analytic people, they push Steph above the people like my guy, Kobe Bryant. I've heard it twice from 2 people on TV that they're like, why not? Like Seth Greenberg was like, I'm not putting him ahead of Kobe. And the analytic dude was like, why not? I'm like, whoa, like calm down. Like, because this is what we're talking about, Ralph. I think the analytics have him top 10. I think the analytics have him top 5. So Here's where I have him. I think he could be top 10 at the bottom of the top 10 if you really value all that impact. I think he's somewhere in the top 15 range. Now that I really got a chance to sit and think about it, I'll concede that because I actually genuinely like the dude. I really don't have any qualms with him. But I think that when we look at the whole totality, there's players who I feel like had just as much impact or more in a short list of players offensively as Steph did, while having a greater impact on defense. I think Steph Curry played defense well this year. I think he actually improved on that end, but he's not a lockdown defender. Players who had a higher impact, I think, on both ends of the court, I would say was a Shaquille O'Neal, Hakeem, a LeBron, a Kobe, a MJ, because these guys have had tremendous lift from just a scoring perspective on their basketball teams, Ralph. And I've always continued to say, whether people like it or not, the people who hoop actually understand this, scoring is the most important part of the game. What's the one skill that players work on in the offseason is their scoring ability. They don't pantomime in the gym all day and throw a tennis ball up against the wall. No, they're working on their scoring. They're working on their post game. You know, Jason Tatum proved in the NBA Finals that he still has holes in his game, flaws in his game. So I believe that the wing players, if you go throughout history, the wing players have the biggest impact on championship level basketball. Magic Johnson transcended the game because he was the first point guard outside of like the Isaiah Thomases, right? Generational, where the point guard could be the best player on said team and win you a championship. Steph Curry now joins that mold. So you can use that argument, but I don't think that he's done enough, or some of these arguments are enough for me personally to put him in the top 10. If he gathers some more rings, if he wins a back-to-back championship without a super team, like the MJs, like the Kareems, Magics, and Michael Jordans, then I think that over time my position will change. But I think that he could probably be as high as the top 15 range for me personally. And so it's no slight on Steph. I just think that some of his black marks, like blowing a 3-1 lead, getting locked up by Kevin Love, I do remember that. You know what I'm saying? I remember some of the other shortcomings he's had. But I think overall, he has a very Tim Duncan selfless attitude. I think that he really did help build up the Golden State Warriors, and I do believe he defied a lot of odds. So I like Steph Curry, man, and I'll swing it over to you. But I think top 15 right now, I think would be the highest that I would put him in my personal opinion.
And this is one of the things where, like, I want to preface everything I'm about to say with when we start having these conversations, I don't want anybody to start taking anything personal, because when we start having these conversations, now you got to compare people to other people. So now I have to find your holes versus holes in this person's armor. And that's the conversation needs to start, where people start taking stuff personal, like I dislike Steph and things like that. I'm going to preface everything I'm going to say with, nobody in my top 10 is a liability on defense.
I like that.
And so everyone in my top 10 has at least one all-defensive team. And I want to say that there isn't a person that doesn't have at least two.
Okay.
Whether it's first team or second team.
Because Shaq has what, 3?
Because Shaq has 3. Larry Bird has 3.
Yeah.
And people never talk about, we always talk about him as a shooter and scorer, but we never talk about the all-around player that Larry Bird was, which is why I go so hard for Larry Bird.
Yeah. And he could play in any era.
Exactly. Like, he shot 37% from 3, almost 38, when it wasn't a good shot. Now, think about a 6'9" Larry Bird. He had the greenest of lights.
Right.
And that's
he'd be the best player in the draft this year.
Exactly. And so it's like, because he didn't have a hole in his game, where, like, there's different players in this draft, and we'll get into that in a moment. But, like, there's different players in this draft that where they just got holes. There's like Paolo, we talk about his defense. Jabari Smith, we talk about his ability to create off the dribble. Then we talk about Chet. We haven't seen nobody that skinny since KD, and he's skinnier than KD. So then it's like, So then when that's and those are the things where you start comparing different people. Why I'm gonna put people here and there. You got to talk about the thing in its entirety. So to go back into my point, it's like I got to talk about. I think one of the things that people will misunderstand is I think like there's the difference between the best player, and the best career.
Right. Oh, right.
Like, LeBron possibly has one of the best careers, if not the best career.
Right.
He's been
him, Kareem, all of them. Yeah.
He's still in his prime in year 19, going on 20 type of stuff. Where Jordan and Kobe, they just had less holes in their games.
Facts.
While also having all of these accolades. So when you start putting these ranks together, you start talking about careers, their impact, and also how great their career was. And so when you put all of those together, that's where you start to have these ranks. So it's like Steph, he has 113. Pretty much he has 8 total All-NBA teams with 4 first teams.
Right.
Shaq alone has 8 first teams and 3 all-defensive teams. So why are we now talking about pulling him off and putting Steph on there? Then I've even heard people talk about Larry Bird, not even mentioning championships. He has 9 first-team All-NBAs and 3 defensive teams.
And a shortened career.
And and he only played 13 seasons. Steph is in year 13 right now.
Mm-hmm.
He just finished his 13th season. So it's like you got to think about, like, we've really only been talking about Steph as this great player for 6-7 seasons now.
Right.
So it's like I think too much we're getting prisoners of the moment where we're not really thinking about everything in totality. Now, to say, like, I have him at about 12, 13. I would really have to sit down and think about, because I really only did my 10.
Yeah.
I had 1 or 2 players that were in front of him.
Okay. Did you have KD in front of him personally or no?
Not after this. Not after this. Not at him getting this Finals MVP. I did not.
I can respect that. Because I probably have him around the same, like.
Right, but they're close. I have him right in front of KD.
Okay.
But then me personally, I still have Zeke, because I think that if you take and put him in an era like Zeke said himself, I played in an era where my job was to set up the offense. Now, if there's no offense to set up, then I got to go get a bucket.
Right.
For Steph, and I seen I forgot who it was. I think Zeke was the one that was making this comparison, where he was saying that, like, Steph is not me. Well, they need to stop comparing him to me. He's more Allen Iverson. Because the job coming on the court is to go get a bucket. It's not to set up the team for now. Does Steph average a good amount of assists? Yes, he does.
Yeah.
Like, he averages about, where are we at right here? He averages about
six
a game.
Yeah.
Now, you would think, like,
that ball is always moving in the offense. They got hockey assists. They got all different.
Exactly. So it's like he's still getting assists, but it's like he's not looking to set up his offense. He's looking to get his bucket first.
Right.
So I think too much we're getting prisoner of the moment. There's too many people that are in front of him. He's still got. For me, he has to win another title and another Finals MVP for me to start even thinking about putting him in my top 10.
I can respect that.
Because
go ahead.
Then at that point, although he's not getting on defensive teams, he's still giving the effort. But there's moments where the Celtics are attacking him, not even like necessarily doing a pick and roll to get Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum on him. They're attacking him with Derek White, Marcus Smart, and Peyton Pritchard.
Yeah.
And so that's where, for me, it's like you're a weak link in the chain on defense, and you're a complete liability. So it's like you have to be such an offensive talent that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
and I probably will never see again, for me to be like, oh, like they're
Like,
like
no,
I'm not
yeah.
gonna over Shaq because we're never gonna see another Shaq.
Right. Ever.
So it's like I'm not gonna take Shaq off the list. You got to do something more than what Shaq was able to do. Because I still don't think that a lot of people, and you even agree with me on this one, that did not do. Shaq didn't reach. Shaq reached his potential to a certain degree, but he didn't do it for as long as he should have done it.
Yeah. And I was going to mention something about Shaq. I had 3 quick points before we move on. We mentioned, because you mentioned he didn't do it for as long as he should have had, and I say yes, but then at the same time, you might have heard this, and I tell myself I fall victim to this as well. Shaq's longevity is actually underrated because we don't talk about how good he was in Orlando. He took a no-name head coach, I don't know if it was Scott Skiles or whoever, to like 60 wins, right? Yeah. Or whoever, to like 60 wins and made it to the NBA Finals, but he just ran into Hakeem, who was destroying everyone, right? And so all Shaq really needed, give me a wing, and I can get there. I got there with Penny. I got there with whomever. So we talk about, well, he didn't have great finals competition in the 3 people with the Lakers, but he was still dominating and putting up stats versus Hakeem, versus David Robinson, dunking on those types of people. So Shaq's longevity is underrated. And I feel like we can't in one token say, well, he could have been the GOAT, right? But then have him so low in the top 10, like, oh, Shaq's 10, when he's probably closer to that Kobe, Duncan, whatever range or whatever. So that's one. And then the next thing you mentioned about Steph was his defense. We even have moments engraved in our brain. Kyrie Irving hit that shot, but he hit it over Steph. Now Kyrie's an amazing shot maker, but he set it up. But Steph really didn't have that good of a defense on him to begin with. So I look at that. And then I think the third one was I just feel like Klay Thompson. Many of the times in the playoffs, Game 6 Klay, right? It's Klay Thompson who was coming through for them when OKC was up 3-1 and they had to come back. So I think Steph, like you said, offensively, he's literally, even if you take out other players, he's literally like, or include other players, he's literally up there for, you could arguably say he may have had, if not the best, one of the best offensive seasons, peaks ever. So and I like how you acknowledge that. But I still feel like there's some more other players ahead of Steph that, like you said, that I would put ahead of him. Now the Wilson, the Russells, once again, it's not my era, but I just feel like it was just such a more primitive era. And Bob Cousy dribbling the ball around players, like, you ain't doing that against Kawhi or Marcus Smart. Like, why are you just? It's not the Barnum Bailey circus in today's league.
No.
You have people like Tony Parker, the underrated left hand in the scoop. Like, so I agree, Rob. I think I like what you said, 12, 13, top 15. I think he's right there, though. I really do. But I think the premature, like 10 people that said that he was top 5.
5, bro. That's where I was like 5.
My criteria, I don't know what criteria they have, but my criteria. So that's all I'm gonna say, bro.
Well, I personally feel like if you don't have LeBron, Kobe, and Mike in your top 3, you tripping. So now them other 2 spots,
right? I can't do it.
Those 2 spots, like, nah. You gotta do more for me, bro. I can't give it to you off of 7 seasons because them first 6 seasons he looked extra regular.
Right. I still have Hakeem ahead of him in my list, but that's me because I understand Hakeem. To me, Hakeem is great. To me. Yeah. So anyway, all right, that was fun.
Hakeem's in my top 5.
Same.
It's me. I'm an old head that's a hater. I was arguing with somebody in high school, my brother, and he called me an old head and how I need to take these old people off this list. And I'm just because I watch film more than others doesn't mean I'm right and he's wrong. I'm just like, bro, y'all only play, bro. You play football, bro. Like, shout out to my boy TJ. But on to the next one. Right and wrong segment.
Okay.
Kyrie looking for a max deal. The Nets. I think a lot of it is just blown smoke, honestly, because a couple of the teams, like we talked about off camera, a couple of the teams just don't even make sense.
Right.
But would it be right or wrong to give Kyrie this max deal?
It would be right as long as he put contract details and stipulations and all that kind of stuff in it. I like Kyrie. second favorite. He's my second favorite player in the league behind one Kawhi Leonard. He's pretty much like me if I was playing in the NBA. Huge fan of the late great Kobe Bean. Man, I love Kyrie, his game. He's the most skilled point guard. Yeah, you heard me, Nick Wright, and all the people. Stop trying to slander that man. When he said skilled point guard, why are you looking at championship and accolades? We said skill. They always take it to another thing. But I remember that conversation because I saw clips of that. He's the most skilled point guard in this game, and with him, it's just he's not reliable in terms of durability. And then so when you have a player of that ilk who's prone to get injured at some point in the season, you need to have insurance. And then also, I mean, you have Ben Simmons, and you have to see how that dynamic in the locker room with Kyrie and KD can be sensitive. You have a lot of personality stuff that's going on there. But I'm never going to sit up here and call him a bird brain or crazy or anything like that. Just because someone thinks and moves differently than you doesn't mean that you need to be disrespectful. And I feel like the media's gotten really disrespectful. But I also can be a fan and not a stan and acknowledge some of Kyrie's shortcomings or deficiencies. And I feel like him and KD do need to, I didn't say take a step back, but really evaluate how the season went and come back stronger next year, and work in cahoots with the organization to make sure that you are there on time, reliable, all that kind of stuff. But you have to give it to him because I feel like he gives him still the best chance to win when he's on the court. We saw what they were doing with Harden pre-injury, right, in that first run. And then the second run, you look at it, you got Ben Simmons, who the dude got a whole lot of stuff going on. But if he ever plays, you have Steph Curry. So if you trade Kyrie, Ralph, right, the problem is you have the draft lottery, right? And you have rebuilding teams that don't want anything to do with Kyrie. Then you would have to trade him to a contending team, but then they don't feel that he's durable or reliable. And so the teams that Sean, I can never pronounce his last name, bro. One day on this podcast, I will. That Sean's reported. He reported the Lakers, the Knicks, and the Clippers. I'm sure we all got the notification. The Lakers, once again, they make no sense because they don't have any assets that they can trade. I heard they're looking at the Hornets having interest in Westbrook again. I'm like, Mike, stop, Mike. Someone duct tape Mike. Love him, he's the GOAT. But,
somebody tie him up to the deadline.
Tie him up, please, not before the draft, Mike. And then the Knicks could definitely sign him immediately. They don't even have to trade him. They could let him walk, and he could sign him. But Kyrie Irving isn't going to be your superstar number one option that just leads you to prosperity into a championship. He's a great number two, probably one of the best number twos you ever see, complimentary piece. And he's playing with KD, who fits well with anyone. So the next team will be the Clippers. The Clippers, they have a lot of assets. Ty Lue, Coach Kyrie, knows how to manage. I don't like to use handle, but manage Kyrie Irving, expectations from Kyrie Irving. However, Kawhi just missing the season. Paul George tearing his UCL in the season. If you bring Kyrie in there, you don't want to have three injury-prone stars when you're trying to win a championship. You already have the fourth highest odds to make the NBA Finals next season. I think behind only the Warriors, the Celtics, and I want to say they put the Nets ahead of them again or whatever. Probably because they think of Ben Simmons. And you have a lot of depth with Norman Powell and Robert Covington and Brandon Boston Jr., young studs, right? So I wouldn't want to mess up what you have there going into next season, knowing what a guy like Kawhi Leonard and a healthy PG can bring you. And you match up very well small ball-wise with Batum and all of them, Marcus Morris. You just have a lot of depth there with a Warriors team. That could be a conference finals matchup. So I don't think that you should trade for a big three when we're seeing that teams – like the Bulls, teams like the Warriors, teams like the Grizzlies are going away from the big three, teams like the Bucks. But Kyrie Irving, when he's healthy, he's an asset to any team. But I think him and KD just need to sit back and figure some things out. And I think obviously Steve Nash was the wrong coach for that squad. I don't know why they would still want to go a year 3 with Steve Nash. That's probably going to be another thing. We'll get to that next year. But yeah, I think it would be wrong to trade him. I think you should just keep him and let him figure it out, Ralph.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, man, and everything that you said there. Chase Claypool was on the I Am Athlete podcast, and he goes on to say he started off with top 5, and then he goes on to say I'm specifically top 3. I'm a top 3. I'm a top 3 wide receiver in the league. Now, when you talk about his measurables, and he is only going into year 3, his measurables, you pretty much, there's not too many hard. It's hard to find someone. In a sense, he's low-key baby Megatron, a light-skinned Megatron, pretty, if you will. He's 6'4", 238, huge hands, and he runs a 4.42. So it's like, then when you put that alongside the likes of, he put up pretty good numbers in the first 2 seasons, nothing crazy. Like Justin Jefferson's numbers is wild, but then when you're talking about first, I think Kirk Cousins gets a lot of flack when it comes to actually like winning.
Yeah, he's a high value passer though,
being a winner, but he's a good quarterback. So when you pair a good talent with an actual good quarterback, Big Ben was kind of holding him hostage to a certain degree, in my personal opinion. But when you start thinking about like, these are just a list of names, plus Jerry Jeudy is another person that's in that same draft class. But you got Darnell Mooney, you got Michael Pittman Jr., CeeDee Lamb, and Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson has 3,000 yards in his first 2 seasons. He's the only person to have over 3,000 yards in the last 2 seasons. Then you got CeeDee Lamb is over 2,000 yards. Then you got Michael Pittman at just under 1,600. Darnell Mooney is at 1,686 with 142 catches, which is 21 more receptions than Chase Claypool with 2 more, but he's played 2 more games. So it's like, when you think about his talent, these are just players that I've just mentioned. I didn't even put a rank on top, but I haven't even mentioned Tyreek Hill, the Devontae Adams, the Stephon Diggs, the Cooper Kupps, Mike Evans, to mention a few names. So it's like, at this point, are you a top 3? No. At this point, top 5? No, you're probably not even top 10. But his measurables, with how young he is, he has the talent that he could possibly be that one day. But right now, as we speak, I would not, because I haven't seen enough as an actual route runner where Jamar, and I even mentioned Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase, as far as a route runner, will chop you down. Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, best receiver in the game. I didn't mention how, because he's been injured a lot, DeAndre Hopkins and being out for 6 games. But we know what the route runner he is, the big game catcher that he is. Then on top of that, it's like your measurables are good, but you're just not there yet, man. Like you got a lot to learn. And I think it's a really good interview. It was one of those ones it was a little longer, but I understand he had prior engagements and things like that, so he had to get up out of there. But I do wish I am actually a huge fan. Like when I play Madden and I do my fantasy draft, he's someone I want on my team.
I feel you on that. And the Steelers developed wide receivers really well. You know, look at what they did with Antonio Brown, of Central Michigan. I think it was a 5th round pick or 6th round pick, right? Now, all part of that is also Antonio Brown being, to this day, he's the hardest working wide receiver that I've known outside of obviously the TOs and all that kind of stuff. He's in my top 5 or whatever. We went over that. Some people prefer Megatron, and I get it. I definitely get it, but he's at least top 10 at the lowest. But with Chase Claypool, yes, I will always say I'm unapologetically a Ravens fan. I don't care about the Steelers, but I respect them because of mutual respect. And I always recognize, and this should be common knowledge to anyone, they're a wide receiver factory in terms of development, scouting, right? And receivers that I've even said, I wish the Ravens would get, they get. I thought the Ravens could have got George Pickens in the draft. They got him. They had a couple of different guys. They had Martavis Bryant. Now, hopefully Chase Claypool is better than Martavis Bryant. But
Bryant was nice. Though. He had off the field issues.
He had off the field issues, but then he kind of like slowed down, bro, with the drops, and I was like, But I think Claypool's better than Martavis Bryant. That's why I'm like, I hope he's better because Bryant was a nice deep threat. I feel like Claypool could do a little more because instantly he was better than Juju Smith-Schuster to me because we locked Juju Smith-Schuster up when we played him. So I can only go off based off what I see in the division year in, year out, twice a year. You have to play your division rival if you're struggling with them, But I got a list because we talked about lists today, right? We talked about Sue Bird and we talked about Steph Curry. And I got a list, and then we can get into the next thing, right? Is Chase Claypool currently ahead of these wide receivers, Ralph? I'm putting Chase Claypool to the stand. His claims. Stephon Diggs, Cooper Kupp, Devontae, that dude Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, Justin Jefferson, right? Jamar Chase, AJ Brown, Mike Evans, Tyreek Hill, okay, Keenan Allen, okay. I think that's 11 or 10. Now we get into the Robert Woods category. And Allen Robinson, who's played with scrub quarterbacks. So I feel like he's somewhere within the top 15, top 20, top 15. And he could potentially one day, he could be top 10, or the players ahead of him remain. But, receivers, I don't want to use the word die off because that sounds messed up. But, there's turnover. But I think he's actually in that Jerry Jeudy range. I think CeeDee Lamb is a really good route runner. But I have some questions about CeeDee, but I think he's in that tier, the CeeDee Lambs, the Jerry Judys, like you said. And I feel like we're missing somebody. How do you feel about old boy Devontae Smith from the Eagles?
I got to see more. He's good. Okay. He's good, but I wouldn't put him over Chase Claypool.
Okay. Would you say they're in the same tier or Claypool's better?
They're in the same tier. The same tier. I put them in the same tier. Claypool is better.
Okay, so yeah, I think right now he's probably that top 15, and then with potential to be top 10. So I don't have any issues with him saying it, but him saying top 3, like, no, I think in his head he's top 3.
Yeah, I actually don't have. I have him in my top 20. I don't even have him in the top 15. But I actually have. I would only have a problem with it if he was like top 30 or top like 40 or something like that. Is then where I have an issue with it, because I'm like. Gotcha. I understand you're young. You're in the top 20. The wide receiver talent pool is crazy right now. And so it's like when you I'm really just comparing him to the people that are in his class, the T. Higgins, the Moonies, the Pittmans, the CeeDee Lambs, the Jerry Judys, the Justin Jeffersons, those people. So without spending too much time, it's time for that mock draft, baby.
Yeah, we got to get that down. The mock draft.
And so I didn't really. I got the first 4 written down, and then the rest of that off the hip. But just to get straight into it, man.
With the first pick of the draft,
Orlando Magic. This one is kind of interesting for me because it's, if you think about their history,
right?
Shaq, Chris Webber, they traded for, and then they traded for Penny Hardaway. And Dwight Howard. If we take away injuries, all 3 of these are hits. They don't miss when it comes to that that first pick. And then if you even consider Chris Webber, that's a hit as well. And because you know how I feel about Chris Webber. If you take Chris Webber and put him in this era, you're getting a crazy good power forward. I just think he was before his time. So I think that if you take Jalen Suggs, Franz Wagner, and Cole Anthony, you put that. Now you got perimeter players. Now you need a big. And there's 3 bigs that you could take, but I think that you take Jalen Suggs, high school teammate, and get Chet Holmgren.
Okay.
His ability to take you off the dribble. He shot 45% from 3 in college. He's like 7'1", 7'2", but he has a 7'6" wingspan. He's a shot blocker. He is a little light in the britches, but at the same time, you need a rim protector. He can play the 4 because you have a Wendell Carter. And I think that with that, you have a young nucleus, so you can see what you got with them. I think that that's the best bet.
All right, so for the sake of time, you want to do it like this. You go 1, I go 2, you go 3?
Exactly.
All right, so for number 2, I got Jabari Smith. I also think he just looks right in Oklahoma City colors. Oklahoma City, they picked Jabari Smith, another guy who can score, adds 3-point shooting to the team. 6'10" forward, kind of has some KD-esque mannerisms in him, right? And I've continued to say that, they have Shai Gilgeous, they have guys of that ilk. But Jabari Smith fits that mold of 42% from the 3-point line, 17-7 at Auburn, 6'10" forward. So I like Jabari Smith to go to Oklahoma City Thunder and join Josh Giddey. All right.
And so my guy, my favorite, and I actually think he's the best player in this draft.
I agree.
Paolo Banchero, going to the Houston Rockets at the third pick. And just to preface you guys with this, I am not taking into consideration trades because I'm not an insider. I don't know what trades what trades happen or who's talking about trades. Although I keep I have a pretty good pulse on the league. I can't guess that right now. It's
okay.
It's too. But I got Paolo Banchero. He can play anything from the 3 to the 4. If you can have him even at 6'10", 250, you can even have him play small ball 5. But his ability he has the most versatile offensive game as we speak. He can literally lead the break. Reminds you of young Blake Griffin when it comes to his dribbling ability, his ability to pass the ball. He can grab the rebound, lead the break, throw lobs, or take you off the dribble. We've seen him pull up for 3.
Right.
So I think that he has that ability to take you up to a versatile game where you can play the 3, but his size is that of he's 6'10", 250.
And that would be a deadly combo with Jalen Green too.
Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr., bro.
Yeah.
And then you got like that young nucleus with Martin Jr. over there too. They just traded Christian Wood, so I kind of wish they didn't do that so I could actually see what they have to offer. John Wall just chose to use his player option. He's going to be getting like $43.7 million or something like that this year. That's wild. If they continue to keep paying him that amount of money to not be with the team, it's going to be crazy, bro.
Yeah, bro. And he is feeding the city of Houston with that type of break.
Oh, God. So,
hey,
at this point, you up?
Okay. Yeah, I wanted a quick preference of my last pick when I said Jabari Smith. Another reason why I picked him was because the Oklahoma City, I believe they have, I think, we're not going to get to it, but I believe they have like the 12th pick in the draft. So they do need center help there. But the fact they have that luxury because they accumulated so many picks from teams like the Clippers, I believe they can pick either a Jalen Duren or old boy from Duke later on in the draft. So that's a part of the reason why I went Smith. So number 4, I'm going to go with Keegan Murray. So I'm going with Keegan Murray over Jaden Ivey out of Iowa, 6'8", 24 points per game, 9 rebounds per game, shot 55% from the field, and he can hit that 3, which is something that they need. The reason why I'm going there is because they seem to be invested at this time in their point guard over there. What's his name? Ralph, help me up. Fox. De'Aaron Fox.
And they got Davion Mitchell too.
Yeah, and Davion Mitchell. So it's like, do you want to go with another guard, a guard heavy? That would be a crazy athletic court. But you also have, I believe, they traded for, and they got DeMonte Sabonis at the back end. So I believe that Keegan Murray will stretch the floor and add that shooting for them rather than going with a 3-headed small ball lineup there. All right, number 5.
Now 5, we got the Detroit Pistons. Detroit. We gonna go, my boy. He gonna stay in the Midwest.
All right.
Over him, Jaden Ivey.
Okay, so I had him there too. All right.
You got Cade Cunningham, who pretty much, if you go with the era of position in basketball, what is he, a 6'8" point guard? You can pretty much put him anywhere from the 1 to the 4 if you're playing small ball, where you can throw Jaden Ivey. They got him listed as a 2 guard, but if you've watched him play and the way that point guards are playing today, he's a combo guard. He's 6'4", crazy athleticism. He showed the ability to take over games as well as be able to knock down jumpers. Good defensively. For me personally, with the era that the game is going in, if I had a top pick, I understand why the Magic, they already have a boatload of guards where like the top 3 teams if I was drafting a team or drafting a player, I actually like Jaden Ivey as the best player in this draft because of the way that the game is being played nowadays. Where most of the teams, their best player is a perimeter player. So you don't need a Chet Holmgren. You don't. I mean, Jabari can't really create off the dribble like that.
Not like that. Yeah.
Exactly. So, like, Paolo being 6'10", 250, being able to create off the dribble is why I would put him at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Just because of sheer size and his ability. Where Jaden Ivey is what he's been able to do as far as, like, he literally reminds me of, like, a combination of, like, a Ja Morant. And it's like, if you take Ja Morant and give him a jumper coming into the league, it's like, yeah, it's crazy. But nice. But at this point, I'm projecting. But Jaden Ivey for the Pistons at 5.
Okay. I actually had him at 5 in my little mock. And then numbers 6, Indiana Pacers select the Taco Bell man himself, Johnny Davis, guard. He models his game after, he said, Devin Booker, right? Jimmy Butler and Jaylen Brown. That's a whole lot of different people. But so we got shooting guard Devin Booker, Jimmy Butler, a playmaker, and Jaylen Brown, someone who attacks the rim. He actually played at the same AAU program as Tyrese Halliburton. He's out of Wisconsin, in the school of Wisconsin, 6'5", averaged 20 points per game at the collegiate level, 8 rebounds per game, 2 steals per game, 2 assists per game. He has a relationship with Halliburton already. They also, I think they live what was like 2 hours away from each other, whatever. So I think that that could be a pick for the Pacers. Also a trade very well could be at play with that pick. So I got Johnny Davis at number 6, man. All right, number 7, you're up.
And this one for me is where things get a little weird for me.
I got them trading that pick too, the Portland.
It's like I can see a trade happening.
I really do see a trade happening.
But then at this time, I low-key want to see a specific person go to the Pelicans.
Ooh, okay. Yeah.
I kind of want them to skip over this player. I do think that they already have something with Anthony Simons.
Yes, Simmons. Okay, Simons.
So you don't, and then are you going to keep Dame? So why would you take a 2? Like at this point, a Shaedon Sharpe can go in there. Good young talent, athleticism. But then it's like at this point, it's like, dude. But I don't see them having a big, of the future. So it's like they could go AJ Griffin at this point, who plays the 3, but in a small ball area, 6'6". You can go with Williams from Duke at this point, a Jalen Duren. But I think at this point, I'm gonna go Shaedon Sharpe. Although I do think that this is a spot where that could possibly get traded at this point, but I'm gonna go Shaedon Sharpe, 6'6", 2 guard up from Kentucky.
All right, so I had them getting Jeremy Socon, but I had them trading the pick for a win now veteran. So that's what I usually put down for any team that I didn't know who they're gonna pick. I was like, hey man, I'm just keeping it honest, bro. I'm like, some of these, I'm like, I don't just see them drafting any of these people, but yeah. Okay. So New Orleans Pelicans, my NBA final sleeper for next year. By the way, I'll let that slip. But yeah, they're my NBA final sleeper for next year. If they get back a healthy Zion, they have all the ingredients, ISO wing scoring. They have a guy in Valanciunas that can rebound. They have a lot of depth. They have young defensive guys in Herbert Jones. They have Alvarado, pesky guard. And so they have a chance to trade this pick, Ralph, for a win now veteran or a piece, or they could draft someone. But for the sake of this show, I had them drafting somebody. And I had them drafting Dyson Daniels out of the G League. Height, 6'8", long, versatile wing who can defend multiple positions. They can add more defense to that team in need of a little more defense, a little more versatility. He's also a high IQ playmaker. So that takes stress off of guys like CJ McCollum and guys like Brandon Ingram, a.k.a. young B.I., as Jay-Z would say. And stats, he averaged 11.3 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, and 4 assists per game. So he's going to be able to shoot the ball, distribute the basketball, and defend and really help that identity. And I think he'll do very well, having already played at the NBA level in the G League. And Willie Green knows how to get the best out of his players. So I think he could definitely get the best out of a G League prospect and Dyson Daniels. So that's who I have going number 8 to the New Orleans Pelicans. So you're up at number 9, the Spurs.
You said Dyson Daniels at 8, right?
Yeah, 8. Snuck that one in there. The G League.
All right. And then at 9, I'm gonna go AJ Griffin.
Okay.
Wing from Duke. Versatile. Like I said, like I mentioned before, versatile. Offensively, defensively. Really doesn't have too many holes in his game. I like his game. I've seen him going later in the draft. But I think with the players that we've selected, I think when you start to get to a certain point within the lottery, you kind of got to go
BPA.
Best fit.
Yeah. Oh, best fit. Yeah, BPA. Yeah. Mm.
And so AJ Griffin at 9.
Okay. And then to wrap it up, our final 2022 lottery pick, draft pick, goes to the Washington Wizards with pick number 10. I have them selecting shooting guard from Kansas, Ochai Agbaji. Now this dude, he could definitely score the basketball in multiple different ways, but he could shoot it. Great 3-point range with defensive versatility. He's constantly moving off the ball, and he has a sneaky athleticism that makes him a solid lob threat out there. You know what I'm saying? So I like him. He averaged 19 points per game at Kansas, 5 rebounds per game, 2 assists, shot 48% from the field in Bill Self's system, 41% from 3. So in this league, you need to be able to hit that jump shot, especially if you're a shooting guard. So I got Ochai Agbaji. I'm just going to call him O. And no relation to the Omarion versus that's happening this Thursday. But anyway, all right.
Mario for the win. Mario for the win, bro.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I got Mario too, man.
Mario for the win, bro. But I'm interested in this draft, bro, because I think the draft is on Thursday too.
It's Thursday, yeah. A lot going on Thursday, man. Hey, I think Lupe comes out Friday, but go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, who are some players that, of all the players that are on that we've talked about, players we didn't mention, who are some players that you actually are looking forward to seeing how they play in the league?
Okay, I'm actually looking forward to seeing how Paolo Banchero plays in the league. I think he's going to be perfect fit. He still needs to develop more with the 3 ball, but I just feel like when you listen to his interviews, watch him play, like it's like I know I'm nice, but I'm not afraid to say I'm nice. Like he knows he's nice. I think he's just going to be a dog. Like he's an NBA player. But I mentioned Jalen Duren. I've said it before. Yes, he's limited offensively, but he really has Dwight Howard type potential. Yeah, he's probably this era's Dwight Howard, not our era, but this era's Dwight Howard. He could be that, and I think that LaMelo Ball throwing lobs to him and them just needing a defensive identity, that's going to be huge. But I'll end it with this: it looks like Mike's going to be interviewing Mike D'Antoni, so I don't even know if they're going to get a big. Because with D'Antoni, you know how that goes. How about you, bro? To wrap it up,
I actually agree with you. That's one player that I wanted to see, but I want to see him go to the Pelicans.
Okay.
Him and Zion, there's so much athleticism out there, bro. And then another person, because he came out with so much hype, but he didn't really like woo people like people wanted to be wooed by him. But is it Jalen Hardy? Yeah, Jalen Hardy.
Okay. Yeah.
He actually played out here in Vegas with Coronado.
Shout out.
And then he played with the Ignite team with Dyson Daniels. But they talked about there's a lot of potential there. So he's ranked at like 26 right now. I wish the Bulls would take him because that's the type of talent that he has. But at the same time, we have so many guards.
Yeah.
You kind of got to get somebody that fits right now. But
facts.
Time, y'all. Thank you all for watching. I will be posting, and you can vote, see if you think we got it right. We will be posting the top 10, our mock draft for the top 10 picks. But make sure you follow us on Instagram, J.U.K. Sports Show. Make sure you follow me on Instagram as well, Twitch, Instagram, Twitter at KYNGRALPH.
And you can follow me on Instagram at the.houseofhoops. Once again, that's at the.houseofhoops.
And thank you all for watching. Peace out.
Peace.